So the Camo Killer is going to be back in action. Bryce Mitchell, he's going to be taking on the extremely tough and prolific striker, Edson Barbosa. Bryce Mitchell's a very promising prospect, but Edson is definitely his toughest task yet.
That's for sure. And a lot of people love to go back to the old days of the UFC where you have striker versus grappler, and this couldn't be more of a perfect matchup as far as grappler versus striker goes. Now, I know in 2022, everybody knows how to grapple, everybody knows how to strike, and clearly both of these guys, Edson and Bryce, are really good on the feet and on the ground. But Bryce is, make no mistake about it, his jiu-jitsu is nasty, his submissions are nasty, and Edson's kicks, his punches, and all of his striking is really, really hard to deal with. So this is a really fun matchup. It's going to feel like an old school one. For me, Bryce Mitchell has a few ways he can win, and I think he's going to surprise people with his stand-up game. That's going to be more competitive on the feet than we had probably anticipated. But also, Edson Barbosa is no joke on the ground. It's going to be tougher for Bryce to get his hands around him in a threatening position than some of the other people we've seen him against.
Yeah, Edson Barbosa, I mean, we know him as a really prolific Muay Thai striker. All you have to do is go to YouTube and type in Edson Barbosa highlights, and you'll see some of the UFC's best knockouts. I mean, the guy has finished people every way possible on the feet. He has spinning wheel kicks that have just shut the lights off on people. He's accumulated so much damage via leg kicks that his opponents literally couldn't stand anymore. I was in the arena in Houston when he had that delayed knockout of Shane Burgos. That was a very scary situation. Edson Barbosa, the word that describes him when it comes to striking is scary. This guy's really scary. And while I do think Bryce Mitchell will have an advantage on the ground if he can get it to the ground, make no mistake about it, Edson Barbosa can grapple it up with the best of them. He went all 3 rounds with Khabib, and although he lost that fight handedly, Khabib was not able to finish him. So finishing Edson Barbosa is something that if Bryce Mitchell does, he will do something that even Khabib himself did not do.
Yeah, and Bryce is known mostly for his jiu-jitsu, so his ground game is a lot different than Khabib's, which will make for it to be a different fight when it does get to the ground. But most wrestlers and jiu-jitsu grapplers look for legs. You know, they like to throw something at your face so you get your hands up, and then they shoot for the legs, and then eventually will push you to the cage, and that's where they kind of work for their takedowns. And his takedowns are actually pretty good. That, for me, is what's going to be the most telling portion of this fight, because Edson Barbosa is very kick-heavy with his striking. He likes to throw kicks. A lot of them are spinning and stuff like that, and he's pretty good at landing them. You're not going to see him do the Chris Weidman against Luke Rockhold where he spins and gets caught halfway backwards and then loses the fight because of that awful position. Edson Barbosa turns around and spins, and then he's back in his fighting stance in a blink of an eye after that. So Bryce is going to have to watch out for those, but watch for the takedowns to come off of some of those just standard switch kicks and regular kicks that Edson's going to throw, because they're going to be coming. They're going to be coming often. And I think this fight is going to get drawn into the later rounds. I'm going to go with decision just because I feel like both of them are very hard to finish. Bryce is tough to hit. He's really good at getting in and out of range. And Edson Barbosa is very, very tough. So while I see it going decision, it's going to greatly determine whose gas tank is better, and I personally think that Bryce Mitchell is going to have a better gas tank.
Yeah, it's quite possible. And to fight the way that Edson Barbosa fights, that does drain your gas tank. Even if you have crazy cardio, which Barbosa does have, throwing all those switch kicks and those spinning back kicks, when you just try to hit Muay Thai pads for 1 round doing switch kicks, power kicks, elbows, knees, I mean, your heart rate will spike up to 200 in the blink of an eye. And that's how Edson Barbosa fights for the whole fight for 15 minutes. So he's going to be exhausted, but he's also in great cardio shape. I see this as a fight where there's more ways to win for Barbosa than there is for Mitchell. Mm-hmm. I don't think Mitchell can win this fight on the feet. I think if it stays on the feet all 3 rounds, you're going to either see a knockout or we're going to see just an absolute clinic put on by Edson Barbosa. I think for Mitchell to win this fight, he needs to get Barbosa to the ground and he needs to do some damage there. And that's kind of where I'm having a hard. I think Mitchell is a really, really promising prospect, but I don't see him being able to be that much better than Barbosa on the ground to where he gets a submission. Now, I know he said that he checked the weather report and there's a Category 5 twister coming through on Saturday. That would be amazing to see. I mean, this guy finishes fights by all ways, including twister finishes, which there's only been a handful of them in the UFC. But Edson Barbosa is a Brazilian, and he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt. If I'm incorrect, he's actually earned his black belt now. But he's not just going to roll over on the ground and be submitted easily. And for those reasons, I think that Barbosa is going to win this fight on the feet. He's going to accumulate damage, and we're going to see a late finish, third round finish.
Wow, that's pretty good. I mean, it's a decent prediction. I think if we see Edson win, it's going to be by a finish. But I've got Bryce. He's too tough. He's going to get the job done, and I think his striking is underrated. It's going to come as a shock to Edson Barbosa and the people in his corner just how close they are on the feet. I think Bryce is going to actually steal the first round. Edson's going to come back and win the second round on the feet, and then the third round's going to come down to positions and potentially a takedown. We're going to see Bryce go for something. He's going to get the fight to the ground. He's probably not going to get a submission, but I see 2-1. Bryce Mitchell gets his hand raised over Edson Barbosa.
Nice prediction, but the real question is Bryce Mitchell going to get some fancy camouflage shorts from Phenom, or was that only a Reebok thing?
Yeah, they better do it because we really got into the camo shorts experiments right as the Reebok deal ended. So Phenom, they have to pull their own weight. They got to do the thing. They're not copying Reebok if they do it, but they're giving the man exactly what he deserves.
I think so. Guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Drop us a comment. Nick and I are split on this prediction. Who is going to win this fight? Is the young prospect Bryce Mitchell going to continue his rise to the top, or is Edson Barbosa going to foil the party? We always love chatting with you in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video.
Peace.